Welcome, everyone, to this month's Eden Professional Development webinar. I'm Faye Griffith-Smith, an Extension educator with the University of Connecticut, UConn Extension, and I'm a member of the Extension Disaster Education Network Professional Development Committee, and I'll serve as your moderator today. If you would, please take a moment to drop your name and institution in the chat box. It's always nice to know who's with us today. Today, we're going to be hearing from Henry Reges as he presents CoCoRaHS, Precipitation Observations When You Need Them. And just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat box and we will bring them up at the end of the presentation. Also, we want you to know that this webinar is being recorded today and it will be emailed out and posted to Connect Extension, the Eden subgroup, and the Eden YouTube within about a day or so. The evaluation link will also be included in the follow-up email with the recording. If you would, we also like to encourage you to put your camera on. It's always nice to see everyone and, just enjoy being the group together. So I'd like to tell you a bit about our speaker today. Henry Reges is the national coordinator of CoCoRaHS and has been with the program as well as the Colorado Climate Center for over 21 years. A graduate of North Carolina State and University of North Carolina, Asheville, he has worked in fire weather for the National Centers of Environmental Information, the American Meteorological Society, and Colorado State University. Henry has helped expand the CoCoRaHS network internationally through the World Meteorological Organization, a branch of the United Nations, and with other organizations. His love for weather started as a result of his house getting struck by lightning when he was 8 years old. Henry oversees many aspects of the CoCoRaHS network, from coordinator relations to fundraising. And now I will turn it over to our presenter.
Thank you, Faye. Really very grateful to be with you guys today. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm going to tell you something I am very passionate about is our CoCoRaHS network. It stands for the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. And you'll learn more about that, how it can help you guys in extension, and then where we could use more observers. So let me get started here with our slides, and you guys can see that fine. Are we good? Yeah, okay. So, again, citizen scientists, that's a lot of folks out there across the country measuring precipitation and providing important observational data for the public. Oh, let's see if I get my clicker working there. There we go. So, one thing with rainfall, temperature's pretty uniform across areas a lot of time, but precipitation is highly variable. And I've got two sayings up here. What falls at the airport is usually not what falls at your location. It's a lot of times where the official gauges are. And then most of us have seen a th summer thunderstorm. It soaks the ground maybe where we are or a little bit away at our location. Maybe, a couple blocks down the road, half a mile is completely dry. So we're in need of folks to help measure rainfall out there because not everybody, not there's not a lot of gauges in certain places. And so that's very helpful. Two pictures there. That gray coming down in those shots, that's rainfall. And you can see how it's just hitting certain areas. And so, again, very variable. We began back in response to, or CoCoRaHS was born in response to 1997. It's coming up on 30 years now. Fort Collins, Colorado flood. And that flood killed 5 people, unfortunately. And so a lot of rain fell in a short amount of time in 1997. You see some photos here. And so we had done some analysis. I guess I got my slides out of order there. There we go. So the flood pointed out a couple of things. So if you look at that picture, that's me standing there. I'm about 6 foot, and that's the top of that blue mark there is 10 feet. That's Spring Creek, and Spring Creek is usually less than a foot deep. So you can imagine that wall of water that came down. And if you look at our map, point A and point B, epicenter on, if you've ever been to Fort Collins, the west side of town, point A slopes towards point B downhill, but still 14 and a half inches in one spot and less than 5 miles away, only 2 inches from this storm. So it was quite an event. And it helped us to realize the importance individuals can play in mapping and measuring precipitation. So we just do precipitation. We just measure rainfall. Again, we're the largest source of daily precipitation measurements in North America. Who would have thought that when we started? Snowfall data. So snow is important as well. And we not only measure both the snow depth, new and accumulated, but the SWE or water content of the snow as well. So when you hear how much water is in that snowpack in your yard, we have folks do that. And then hail. You've got hail all over the country. You've probably seen some. We're the largest depository, or one of the largest depositories of hail data in the United States. And if you take a look on the left, that's the Vivian, South Dakota hailstone that fell back in 2010. I got a chance to deliver that to the National Center for Atmospheric Research. It was about as big as a football. It was amazing. So again, hail, we look at that as well. There's our website. There's a QR code on there. If you get a chance, please visit that. There's a lot of good information. You don't have to be an observer to take a look at all this stuff. So it's out there for the public and a pack full of a lot of helpful different things as far as rainfall goes. We've got observers of all ages and all backgrounds. And you can see some of the folks there in the pictures. They're trained. We have online training for that. They take daily measurements of precip at their locations, and they're assigned a specific station number. So they'll do that. There's some of our easy online training. We've made animations, and that makes it a lot of fun watching how to do this. If you have a chance to go to the website, you can click on those. Even if you're not an observer, you can learn about different parts of precipitation. And everyone uses an approved manual gauge, so we do not use the automated gauges. We found, along with the Weather Service, after many, many years of studying, that this is the most accurate gauge. The one on the left is the one we've been using for a long time, measures as little as 100th of an inch and goes up to 11 and a half, almost 11 and a half inches of precip. So and then the one on the right is a tropo precip gauge. We were able to design that, help these guys put this together. And it's a newer gauge. It's a little more expensive, but it's got more bells and whistles to it. But we asked folks to use those. We At one time we gave them away, and we found out we never heard from anybody again. So we asked folks to purchase a gauge, a little bit of skin in the game. And again, it's not your grandfather's rain gauge. It's quite a gauge there. And so that's what would have people use. Each morning, people go out around 7 a.m. We have some leeway on either side of that and report the precipitation that has fallen in the gauge. So a 24-hour amount. And you can see on the left, we have an app, and they can go in there and put that information in or go on the website. And there's a place for observation notes. I'm going to read these notes. Strong thunderstorms between 7 and 9 p.m. Heavy rain for a brief period, branches down, continuous lightning. The dog was afraid, and so was I. So we get all different comments in there. And so these are very helpful when we take a look at when we have heavy precipitation to have anecdotal information to back it up. So people can do that. They push the button, and bingo, their observations are immediately available on our website, on our maps, in table form for the public to view and use. And so, again, that's important. Also, when there's zero. So when there's no rain, it's just as important to know when it didn't rain and as when it did. And so people put in daily zeros as well. We have an interactive mapping system, and this We can toggle different things on and off. We can zoom all the way down to the level on the right. And so you can really get a good pinpoint of what fell in your area. And I'll show you some examples of how this works and what people have measured over time. Again, these are some of the options. So the what, you can measure precipitation, snowfall, hail, all kinds of stuff. The when, you can do a daily map. You can measure all the way out to 3 months. That's usually the growing season. So we have that for folks to 90 days and a lot of other options that'll accumulate it on there. And then again, if you're into metric, you can use the metric unit button on that and so forth. So again, a very easy to use mapping system for anybody to take a look at with a lot of different backgrounds that can be put on there. And so is the data any good? Well, it's rigorously controlled, or the QC is rigorously controlled, not the data, but we make sure it's really helpful and it's accurate. We contact observers. There's our QC team at the top. Hopefully that's not our team coming up here in 2035, but who knows what happens. We have a ticketing system and we check the amounts. So it's used by Weather Service, all kinds of municipalities, and a lot of extension folks across the country have used it as well. So very important that we have good data. And then volunteers' data is permanently archived. Folks don't know this at the nation's climatic data center in Asheville, North Carolina. After 100 observations, that goes into their global historic climate network. And so you become your backyard observations become part of the national record, which is really cool. Here's a look at active stations by state. So these are the number of observers we have in each state currently. When we say active, they've reported at least once in the last year. And you can see Minnesota and places like Texas have a lot of observers. There's some places we can use more. We're in all different states here. So we're in all the states. We're in Canada, all the provinces there, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Guam. So, and we're in the Bahamas too. So we've expanded to a lot of places, and a lot of folks enjoy doing this. And if you take a look at the dots on the map, here's a look at active stations. This was back in March, but you can see they're all located around the country. And where there are no dots, that's some places we can really use some help. I'll show some pictures of that later on. So let's look at some examples of precipitation events, observations made by individuals across the country. And I want to show a couple different ones. Here's one that happened back in 2021 in August on the East Coast there in the New Jersey, New York area, and some really heavy rainfall amounts, almost 8 inches, a lot of flooding in places near New Brunswick and so forth. But they were able to pinpoint a lot of information by, you can see the different dots on the map. And so this is where people can come and look, see what the rainfall is. You can zoom in. And again, very helpful not only to the Weather Service, but to other folks, fields flooded and so forth with that. And again, they got hit 19, excuse me, in 2025 in July. Another storm came through there. Uh, and the report shows up with the arrow there. You can see there's notes, and that's that anecdotal information that people can put in to tell how much fell and give a little story about that. So again, really helpful in heavy rainfall events. And so this one here, let's look at this week. Actually, we go down back on the 4th, which was Thursday last week, and Kansas really got clobbered. So did parts of um, Nebraska to the north. So you can see here the different amounts of rain that fell on all those dots. And again, it's really important to have the more dots per county, the more observers per county, the more helpful. It's like the pixels on your camera. It gives us a finer picture of what fell where. And so that was on the 4th, and we zoom into Hayes County, Kansas, which is in that map we just looked at. It's 27 observers in this rural county. And so you really get a good look across the farms and so forth of what fell where. It's very helpful too later on when people look at drought and so forth. We'll talk about that. But again, there's just an example this week. And here's another example this week, Dallas Fort Worth, and that was on Sunday, so not too long ago. And they had a lot of rainfall just to the south of Dallas, almost 7, 8 inches of rain. And so, but you can see parts of near Dallas itself, only an inch of rain. So it just gives you a good view of what fell where. And so, as extension agents, you can take a look in your county and say, okay, this will help us figure out for drought declarations and or flooding and where how to react. And I'll show you some slides on that as well coming up. And then we move along to yesterday. No, actually, it was Monday. Monday, northern Alabama. So they got that system moved east. You can see on there again 7, 8 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain to come down in 24 hours in a lot of these places. So a lot of flooding there as well. But you can see as you went to the southeast of Huntsville, not so much, about 2 inches. So it really helps to pinpoint what came down. And so the other thing, people say, well, there may be an observer close by. Do I really, does it matter? Well, as you saw that picture, how variable rain can be in one of the slides earlier, here's two examples. And this one here, New Braunfels, Texas, back to Texas again, a few years back, 7.12 inches fell in 2 hours. And if you look around that circle, 0, 0.7, 0.6, the rain fell just in one spot over one ranch, and they just got inundated. But without their observation, we wouldn't have known that the Weather Service was able to put out a warning for that storm. And again, it really helped us to figure out what fell where. Here's another one in Seattle, or the Seattle area in Everett, Washington. And they got 3.35 inches. And that fell in urban flooding and so forth. And if you look close by, not that far, maybe just south of there, only a quarter of an inch of rain. So again, it's very variable, but this helps to pinpoint what fell where and helps out with that. So people asked me earlier what some helpful to those in extension. How can this be helpful? Well, a couple things. Numerous trained volunteer observers taking precipitation observations where there are no gauges. So a lot of times there's an official gauge and there may not be gauges, but by having this supplementary network, we can really figure out what fell throughout a county extension area. Precipitation data, it's at your fingertips. There's no charge for this. Uh, Free of charge. Anybody can look at it. You learn climatology over time. We've got some tools to look at a station analysis. Say you have a wet part of your county and you're thinking, how often does this happen? You can go use some of these free tools we have to look back on that. Um, Extension activities such as master gardeners, which you guys are probably well aware of. In many states, they offer continuing education credits to those who have a CoCoRaHS gauge in their backyard and report precipitation to the network. So if you're a master gardener and you want to help get those continuing education credits in your state, check with them, and this may be something that is very helpful. And again, with the gauge that we have, more accurate measurements than the small gauge. A lot of times, well, it's not that small; it's a little bigger. That people get sometimes from the seed store or at the hardware store or whatever. So that is some things there. And so I know we talked about people were asking about disaster mitigation, preparedness, and response. So let me try to hit a couple of those things real quickly. How does it help disaster mitigation? Well, where heavy precipitation, rain or snow, and hail is falling in real time. So we have something called significant weather reports. I'll take a look and show you. I'll have those slides up here shortly. Um, People become aware of typically inundated areas that are inundated with heavy precipitation. So planning for what that means over certain areas. And so it can help with that in mitigating that type of disaster. Um, Folks, not only the observers, but agents can become more familiar with precipitation getting tongue twisted here, patterns over selected areas, and they can prepare for those. And then we get anecdotal reports of drought or flooding in your county, as you saw those little comments people can come in. And so, did it really, what did they get down there at that farm or at that ranch? And so they're able to see some of those comments that are on. There's a whole list we can pull up by county. So preparedness, um, again, having citizen observers in areas where are no regular precipitation reports. So this is helpful because a lot of times there's blank spots across the country in rural areas, even in urban areas. And so this is another advantage in being prepared for when that storm does hit. And observers are ready to report in anticipation of heavy precip. Thunderstorms, you have a thunderstorm watch coming out for your area, or a tropical system moving through, or heavy snow. And so I know a lot of our observers are uh, eagerly anticipating what could fall, and they're out there to present this information. Also, it offers a platform for educating citizens beforehand so they know what to do when unusual precipitation occurs. And so we have a lot of educational things on our website. As a CoCoRaHS observer, too, there's some training involved in that. And so it really makes a person weather aware or climate aware in that sense. And then, well, that's my last, I guess that's my next point there is CoCoRaHS observers are weather and climate savvy. So we have education materials available, and folks get to understand why things fall a certain way or what falls from the sky in their area. So that's a good way for preparedness. And then response on that heavy rainfall in remote areas. Say there's flash flooding potential downstream. And so this is guidance for potential evacuations in area. So a response to the weather that's going on. Um, it's a site where observers can put in weekly conditions at their locations as far as dryness and drought goes. So they're regularly used and read by the National Drought Mitigation Center to create the drought maps. And you probably have heard about that center. You've seen maps D1, D2, or extreme drought. I know there's different insurance payouts with certain conditions and so forth. And so this is a great way for the nation to look at that and see what goes in. They read what you call the condition report. I'll show you those in a moment, but they also look at the CoCoRaHS maps all the time. And then, we're trusted. So many agencies over the time have looked at our precipitation reports and our observers, and they know they're trained and they're trusted when they talk about what fell where. So those are some helpful things as far as how they're helpful to extension agents. So we have some other reports. I'll go through these quickly. I'm going to just get a drink of water here. Okay, sorry about that. So other reports we have out there. So what we talked about, CoCoRaHS has something called significant weather reports and hail reports. And what happens there in real time, you can go on your phone or you can go to the website. You put in how much rain is falling currently. Say wow, I got an inch in 15 minutes. That's a lot of rain. And that goes right to the National Weather Service. It alarms their weather station in front of them. They're able to use that criteria for putting out maybe a flash flood warning or a flood warning in that certain place. The same thing for hail. You can put in information about what kind of hail is coming down. And that, again, will trigger some information on the website, on the workstations for the Weather Service, and they can issue severe thunderstorm warnings with some of these. So again, you're helping other folks out in your area to let them know what's going on. And so this can save lives. We've seen this with the flash flood stuff. They got, some rural area up in the mountains. It's really coming down. People down below are out picnicking. They get the warning out. They're able to evacuate folks with that, and it's really helpful. Something called condition monitoring. So this is what folks can do in addition to observing precipitation. You can just go on there and you can take a look at your landscape and say, wow, it looks really dry this week compared to last week, or wow, we got some rain and things have changed. And so they can go on this. There's a slide bar where they can click on whether it's severely dry or near normal, severely wet. They can put in anecdotal information as well. And we ask folks to do this, report their conditions every Sunday because the drought monitor authors look at this on Monday and Tuesday before their maps come out on Thursday. So it's a weekly thing, very easy to do. You can you can put in anecdotal information. My ponds are dry right now, or wow, it's so dry that the cows are even giving powdered milk out here instead. But stuff like that. So again, that's another helpful thing, and that is used by the Drought Mitigation Center. Uh, For those of you who look at ET, so that is a what goes back. So you have rain comes down and ET, the evaporation, that reference evapotranspiration, sorry, that goes back into the air, the water that goes back there. We have an option. Not a lot of people do this, but it's an option for folks. They can put it on an ET gauge. A lot of times at different offices and places have an evap pan where they measure how much rain. This is a small instrument with a ceramic head. The tubes fill with distilled water, and they can measure each day how much water goes back up, especially for crops. This is helpful to see what goes back up into the up above into the sky. And so we offer a place where they can put that information and we can graph it, do all different things for folks with that. So that's another option for people. So other tools, a couple things out there. We came out with this a couple of years ago. It's called the CoCoRaHS Data Explorer. So you can pick any station and it could be your station, or you can look at anyone in the network, and you can see on there how are we doing right now? What is this? What's normal, and how are we? These dials will show how we're doing compared to normal right now. And this one here, a little below normal with the precipitation on the month, the year, we're still below or near normal. And then the water year. You guys may be familiar with the water year that runs October through September every year, and it looks at how much rain fell at that time. A lot of graphs, a lot of different data. Uh, Take a look at this if you get a chance. You might find it very helpful when you're looking a certain area of your county to see what's happened. And then you can look at year over year comparisons, a lot of data stuff out there. So this is all free and all part of our website. And so for anybody to use. There's our app. And so the app is pretty easy. I use it in the morning on my phone. You just put in the amount of precip in the gauge, or if there's a zero, you have a place down below there for observation notes. Hit the buttons to submit the observation, and bingo, it goes right to our our website and shows up there. And then the conditioning monitoring reports I mentioned once a week, you can do that as well. And you can include pictures. So take a picture of your landscape. You can upload the picture, and then here's the scale bar on the right as far as what it's like out there. Submit the observation. Again, that goes on there and is very important when we're looking at drought. Okay, so we do need help still. We always need new observers. It's our network is like a pipe. There's water flows in, stays in for a while, and it flows out. So some people stay with it for a long time. We've got people that have done the observe for over 20 years. That's a lot of observations. And then we have folks that come in and out. Unfortunately, some of the folks may pass away or move and so forth, but we always need new observers. And so we were looking the other day of counties that have not had any reports. There are no observers in them. So the red counties, if that's one of yours out there, boy, we could certainly use people there. And even in your county, if you have a couple, it's best to have, I would love to see every county to have 10 to 15 observers because you could really get a spatial look at what fell where. It's easy. A lot of people love doing this. We found a lot of seniors enjoy this as part of their daily routine. I've had wives write in and say, "Thank you for giving my husband something to do each day now that he's retired when he gets up in the morning." But again, it becomes part of the routine, and it's again a great opportunity for folks to help do the public good by help letting them know what fell at their location. So, how can you become an observer? You're probably asking, this looks like something I might be interested in, or maybe the folks in my county. So, sign up on our website. That's the website I showed earlier, www.CoCoRaHS, CoCoRaHS. It's a funny name, but that's an acronym for who we are, .org. And you click on there, you put in some information. They'll quickly set you up with a station at your location. Get the 4-inch plastic rain gauge. Again, we do not sell them. We have some third-party vendors. There are some knockoffs on Amazon and stuff. You really don't want to go with those. So take a look at who we have on the website. We'll also send you information on that. Again, it's a small little piece, a little investment in something that will pay off for years. We ask folks then to view the training slideshows and animations or attend a training session. when offered in the area. And you'll find those animations pretty entertaining. We try to make them funny and interesting. In fact, we've got one on the water cycle that has had over 1 million views right now. So that might be a fun one to just kind of start out looking at. Set the gauge in a good location at your place. Again, we want people to become involved, and we want this to be a fun activity. We don't want this, oh my gosh, I got to go out and read that gauge again. We want people to enjoy it. We find people, after a couple of weeks, wow, this is something that I like to get out and do. We hear a lot of things, a lot of comments on that. So again, set in a good gauge, in a good location. If you have a lot of trees, try to find your best spot between that. Again, you don't want to put it too close to your house or deck because sometimes the wind will act and may block the rain from falling in there. So if you have an open space, that's great. Sometimes a cylinder block on the ground is good. In this picture, you can see a post. So when people mount the gauge, we ask them to bevel the post so the water that hits the post doesn't splash into the gauge. And so we have that as well. And then start observing. Go out there and make your first observation. The worst place, let me tell you, the worst place for the rain gauge is in the box. So please just take it out of the box and put it in your driveway when you get it, if that's the case. But again, it doesn't help anybody when it's not being used. So that's a little bit about CoCoRaHS, and I hope you'll find this helpful as for extension, and then for folks in your areas to do this. So I'm here for, if you've got any questions, you can email me as well. We can send you brochures. And so thank you for this opportunity. I think you're muted, Faye, looks like.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Henry. That was fascinating. I see that we do have a question for you in the chat. It is from Greg in Pennsylvania, and he asks, does reporting have to post daily or just during weather events, since zero precip may be important to data set?
Yeah, so we ask folks to report every day if they can. Now, if you're way on vacation or something like that, you can do what's called a multi-day report. You put in what you your last day, and then you figure out when you came back how much rain had fallen in that. But yeah, zeros are really important. And so not just when precip falls. Again, that does help the data sets, and it also helps our maps to know where it did rain and where it didn't. Like that Texas example, those zeros around that one spot shows us the size of the storm.
We have another question, and first of all, thanking you for your interesting presentation. And they'd like to know if you have engaged with 4-H groups.
Yeah, we have. We have in the past. And so they're a great group to talk to about this. A lot of them use this as an activity during their time in 4-H, and a lot of times their parents and so forth will become involved as well. So this is great for homeschoolers. Anybody, we find there's two age groups that really kind of participate a lot. Those in the younger side of the spectrum, and then everybody gets busy when they're in their 30s and 40s, it seems like, and then as folks get in their 50s, they're more likely to do this. So, but yeah, 4-H is great. And again, we can help out with that as well.
Okay, and we have another question. How accurate really are these electronic weather stations with spoon tippers measuring precip?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And we've done analysis on these, and so unfortunately, they're not great. They're great with temperature and other things and wind, but with precipitation, they're not as accurate as we'd like to see. And in heavy rainfall, the tipping bucket gauge inside these automatic ones can't tip. It doesn't keep able to keep up, and so we sometimes don't get the right measurement with that. I know I have a gauge with this. Basically, it's got a sensor on the top, and sometimes it'll rain, the wind will blow, and it'll show I got and there's no rain, the sun is out, and sometimes I measure a tenth or a quarter of an inch of rain. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So again, this is the most accurate. This is the Weather Service uses this for their co-op program, and you can't get any more accurate.
Great. Are there any more questions? I am putting in the chat the link. Oh, whoops, it's gotta still put more in. If you give me just a moment, I am putting in the evaluation link, but if you have any further questions, we can take those.
And those of you who watch this later on, feel free to send me an email, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about what you see here.
Let's see if that, I'm gonna try it again. Oh, it didn't. Let's see.
And I'm noticing on your list there, I see Greg for Penn State, and then our coordinator for the state of Pennsylvania is in the climate department there at Penn State. So if you ever wanted to talk to him, he can tell you more about the program as it is in that state. Good.
I see I made a little mistake.
Hey, Henry, this is Connie Burnham. I'm part of the PD committee. I just turned my camera on. I don't know if
Hi,
you can see
Connie.
me or not.
Yeah.
This is a great presentation. Laura's been after us to get you on, and so I'm glad that we were finally able to. She's a busy person, so I'm glad she was able to connect with you and get you on. And this really is very. I belong to a gardening club, and I'm going to bring this to them because several of them are in the Master Gardener program, and then we have naturalist as well. That would be good to have them also have
Sure.
this information about how much rain are trees and new trees and old trees or whatever are they getting. So anyway, so it's been a good presentation. Thank you. But I will bring this to my group and see if we can't get a little bit more interest in this. It's not that they wouldn't be interested, they just don't even know about it. So anyway,
Yeah, you mentioned master naturalists, and I think that's what you said, and that's one
yeah,
of the largest growing groups across the country. It's amazing. Every
good.
month, different chapters of master naturalists are signing up for this, and we get more and more. Texas has gone gangbusters with master naturalists doing this, and they have a convention and stuff like that. So, yeah, anything like that. If you would like to follow up
Mhm.
with me later, send me an email. We can send you some
Sure.
brochures out as well. Um,
Yes.
and uh, and you're right there at University of Missouri. Is that correct?
Right. Uh-huh. Right. And
Yeah.
who's our
And
contact here?
your contact there is Zach.
Yeah. Okay. I
You
got
know
it.
Zach?
I know who
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
just
he's
thought
a
that
state
probably,
climatologist as well, and he
yeah.
can tell you all about things and help you with that.
Well, that'll be good because we can make a connection to him. I'm going to be retiring pretty soon, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to continue on with the PD committee because I'm part of Extension, the Eden Network. So anyway, we'll do what we can here because I think there's a lot of people in my group that are retired, and so this would be kind of something for them anyway,
And
including
even if they
myself.
don't
So,
sign up, they can view the stuff, the education part. They can view
mhm,
the maps every day. Sometimes somebody might have a family member in another state, kids at different places. Oh, wonder
sure.
what they got up there the other day. And
Yeah.
so it's a fun thing to kind of compare back and forth too.
Well, I'm going to send the link to this to my group and
Okay, great.
say, they can go on YouTube or whatever and view it, and I can as well. So anyway, thanks, Henry. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Connie.
And I just want to mention to people, I made a couple errors with the link for the evaluation. It is the very last one, which also has the words correct link. So I invite you and encourage you to please respond to the survey. We much appreciate your help with that. And also, if you are really enjoying these professional development webinars, or you have other ideas for great presenters like Henry today, we would love to hear from you. So if you would please just let us know if you're a delegate, we would love to have you join us. These sessions are very helpful to us in Extension, and we'd love your support. So with that, again, we ask that you complete the brief evaluation. And if you also, we want to let you know that if you have an idea for a webinar that you might like to present, or you have colleagues you know who are doing a terrific job and that information should be shared, if you would please fill out the webinar proposal form at any time, that would be great. And I can put that link in the webinar as well. So with that, we thank you for joining us today and hope that we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, thank you so much to Henry.
Thanks.
Hey, great job, you guys.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. Really,
Yeah, yeah,
really good.
absolutely.
So a lot of fun to talk to you guys. So
Thanks.
yeah,
It was very good.
I don't know where the button is to end this. Let's see.
So there's an end button probably
Yeah.
below
Oh, here
where
it is.
the
End show. Is it end? No, that's yours button. I don't want to do that.
it's red with an X inside it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I had my screen on here. Yep. I'll stop the share. And there we go. All right. Have a good afternoon now. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks
thanks.
again so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Oh, you did a great job, Faye. Great
Uh,
job.
thank you. Appreciate it. So how close are you to retiring?
It's going to be my official day is the first day of my retirement is September 1. So I resigned as the chair of the PD committee as of the end of June, but I'm going to stay on because I immediately asked for retiree status with Eden, and Monty said
Good.
absolutely. So I'm going to stay on the PD committee and help when I can, or what I can do,
Excellent.
or whatever. And if you need a moderator, I mean probably can
Oh
step
yeah,
in, if I need to or whatever. So
we can put you to good use.
I I think so too. I think I know the kind of the whole way it runs. But again, just because I ran a meeting like that, like my way, because it was like, okay, well, okay, I'll just, and did it, doesn't mean that, the next chair is going to do it the same way. I don't
Right.
care. I mean, I'll follow the lead, whatever somebody else wants to do. No one has to follow what I did. I just put it together and let it go from there. So anyway, but yeah,
Well,
I'm gonna miss seeing you guys at conferences and stuff though.
yeah, that'll be different because you have been kind of an integral part of it and here and there throughout the organization.
Yeah, yeah.
So while I have the chance, I just want to thank you. I've really enjoyed working with you over this time, and you've shared so much. And I love that your interest is so strong that you'll be with us beyond, your
Right, right,
official
right,
role.
right.
That's great.
Oh, well, yeah, I was gonna say, and I could step into any of the other committees too, and say, hey,
Yeah,
but it might be, I might be able to spend a little bit more time engaging with some of the other committees and saying, okay, so what kind of webinars do you have ready? That kind of stuff. Some of the
yeah,
things that I would try to get to them, but wouldn't exactly get to them, or whatever. So that might be a good way of me spending some time is trying to do that. So anyway, but you notice that last month when we did the screw worm presentation, now it hit the national news. And I said to my son, so we were out there before the national news.
yes. Yes, that's great.
Yeah,
Very, very timely.
it certainly was. So anyway, yeah, I've way enjoyed. Yeah, I mean, you guys have been. I've got colleagues across the United States that I, have become much more, friends with, than just the colleagues and the work that we do. So anyway, it's good. And I miss some of the ones, like I didn't know Tom Ball had retired. I did know that Yoder was retiring, but it's just like, okay, you guys, don't just like fade away here. I mean,
Right, right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Seems,
people can come in at any time. That's
yeah.
the nice thing about it.
Well, I hope they continue. I hope they've asked for retiree status. We ought to get
Yeah.
the retirees at least together. So
Well, that's a good idea. It really
yeah.
is because we've got quite a, and
Mhm.
you know what? I think if people knew
Mhm.
there was a plan for it,
Right.
that somebody was going to kind of help be the glue,
Yeah.
I think that might be a role too, Connie.
Yeah, yeah, that could be. And that would be something for the exec board to talk about is
Right?
having kind of like the retiree, I don't know, not association necessarily, but kind of a group, so that,
Yeah.
kind of gets people more involved in it. And I don't know. I mean, I know Yoder said that he said I might be, kind of helping to do some things with Eden or whatever. And I mean,
Good.
anybody who doesn't reach out to any of those people, especially that have been on the exec board, are crazy not to do that,
Well,
because
that's a good reminder that it
Mhm.
really is a good, can be.
Yeah.
Retirees can be an excellent resource.
Hmm.
People still have the interest and maybe a little more time or freedom to
Hmm.
assign their time.
Well, even Scott Cotton, I mean, he's continues to,
Yeah.
contract out and do some work,
Oh, that's
on,
good.
things like that. So I don't know. I just, I'm going to start working with my local emergency management agency. I'm already a CERT member and all that sort of thing. And
Yeah,
so I'm vetted and all that, but I got a lot that I can offer them that they have no idea about, and stuff. And so,
good.
I
Yeah,
think we get,
that's a great thought too.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
got the training in my local group and they're pretty active, but I just haven't been able to
Hmm.
go to the meetings so much. So
Yeah, I know it's difficult to, to do all that, but now that because I've just got more ideas about how to introduce it extension again to locals. And so anyway, and you know what? Anybody who's doing this that's a retiree could ask for space on the calendar to do a
yeah,
presentation, if
yeah,
they had something that, that the committee thought was appropriate. So anyway.
right, right.
Well, I'll see you again, at meetings. I don't know who's going to take over on the 15th of let's see, the 15th of July, because that's when our next meeting is.
Yeah,
So I don't
yeah,
know who's going to run it, but they're going to have to figure that out because well, and I can definitely use my website yet, for a couple months or whatever if I need to, but anyway, needs to be some
good.
discussion how that's going to be taken over. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I'll hope to, it sounds like I should see you again, one way
Yes,
or
you will.
another.
Yeah, you will. You will. All right. I'll
Very
talk to
good.
you later, Faye. Again, thanks.
Take
You did a
care.
great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.